Yours truly, Nigel Blair. Welcome all my viewers, my local viewers, my international viewers, viewers around the world. Welcome to another episode of Flex FM Sports Desk. I tell you, we have a very exciting show for you today. I have a very special guest in the studio that I'm going to bring on in. And as I promised you, I have a very special guest with me here today, Mr. Anis Jerby.
Good evening. Good evening, Nigel.
And Mr. Anis, or should I call you Coach?
No, call me Anis. That's
Anis?
all right.
Okay, Anis. Anis is actually the head coach and director of Plantation FC. Right? Anis I've known for a couple of years now.
More than a couple of years.
More than a couple of years?
20 years. Let's say 20 years.
Coach, it's great to have you.
Yes.
Great to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on this platform.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming by. And I know you got some great information for our viewers.
I hope so. I hope I can feed somebody
around the world. Our players that's watching, parents that's watching, listen, keep your ear wide open because Coach Anis is going to have some great information for you. Coach, Coach, what made you want to become a coach?
It's funny actually. You know, I didn't have the intention to coach at all. To coach, I just wanted to play. Yeah. And the president of the semi-professional team in Minnesota, you know, pretty much was hunting me down to coach one of his teams, which is the U13, for about 5-6 months. And eventually I said, let me give it a try for a couple of months, and I got hooked.
Nice, nice. You know, as I said, Coach, we know each other for several years now. You know, and I've watched you. To be honest with you, I watched you coach my older son, Junie, who you know, played professional overseas. And I also watch you coach my younger son, who's now in college. And I tell you, if I have another child, well, I'll leave that to that. I get my grandkids, right? You would be my first choice, you know, for coaching. What is your coaching values when it comes to coaching?
First of all, human being first. That's always what I preach is you have to be a good person, good kid, good parents, coming from a good background. Because that makes my job easier on the field. Once the kid is really attentive and humble and understand that you know, we're here to just have the best out of the game, which is fun, number one, and then learn, then it makes it easier on the coach. So my value is obviously it's just be a good human being and then be a good soccer player after.
Sticking around with the parents, you have a parent that their child is struggling, right? And I know you're not a easy coach. You're a very tough coach.
Oh,
and to be honest with you, when I first met you, man, I was standing on the sideline going, I wouldn't want him to coach me. But after seeing the result that you bring out in a lot of these players, you know, I applaud it, right? So you have a parents that their child is struggling. What do you tell them? I mean, off the field, away from your training, what advice do you give to those parents? How do you choose players position-wise? How do you, as a coach, right? How do you see them? How do you find that defender, that midfielder, that forward? Because I know every kid want to play forward.
Yeah, you have to have an eye. So obviously, it's a process. It takes time to know the kid, what he's capable of. You know, usually about 2-3 months when you have new group of players. Right. Usually it's 2-3 months you discover that this player is good in defending. Although he's playing forward, but he's very good in defending 1v1, very good in tackling. So maybe that kid could be a right back, for example. So since he's a good defender, he still likes to attack. So maybe that's nowadays the outside overlap word. Yeah, so it's a lot of attacking. Yeah. So that player is just good enough to be an outside back. You know, for example, the center backs usually are identified, very identified. You know, so they don't want to attack. They just, you know, they're content with just control pass, right. But they're good defenders, good headers. So those are easy to identify, the defenders. It's the midfield players is the challenge, because everyone wants to play midfield player. He thinks he's midfield player, or they think.
Right.
But eventually, if they're not good on the ball, good under pressure, they're not midfield players. You gotta have to move them around where they can fit best.
You ever identify a player for a certain position and the parents is against it?
Oh yeah.
What do you do?
It takes time to convince parents as well.
Yeah.
But usually when the parents see, okay, if I move a kid from the middle because he's not getting much playing time, because his abilities are not good enough to be in the middle,
Right.
and let's say I move him to the left back, and now he's playing all the time, that usually settles the parents. That usually settles, because at the end of the day, the parents wanted to see their kid playing
Right.
and happy. So
Okay, so now, Coach, as I said, you've been around for umpteen years in this sport.
yeah, about 26 years coaching.
You ever thought of coaching in a higher league?
Oh yeah. That's always in my mind to coach professionally, especially. I would love to move on. Yes, I would love to move on.
Well,
If there is an opportunity, I would love to move
I
on.
have a lot of viewers watching. How do you handle criticism?
Pretty well. If you asked me this question 15 years ago, 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I don't handle it well. But believe me, for the past 5 years, that was one of my evolution where I decided to take criticism positively, because there is something behind that. There's something positive to get out of that criticism. Yeah, it bothers you for a few seconds, few minutes here and there in the beginning, but at the end of the day, I try to read between the lines, try to understand where that parent, kid, coach, whatever criticism came from, try to understand why. Why did it happen? Why did that criticism? Maybe there's something behind it.
Very good. Now I'm gonna throw a scenario at you. I was watching a game over the weekend, Casa game. You know, FC Broward going up against the Sharks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Very good game.
Okay.
Very good game.
I know the Sharks, they always have good teams. So.
Right? So one of the things that I saw from, doing the play-by-play is how they took advantage of Broward on the flanks with their speed, and those over the top balls, through balls, and use their speed to,
To get behind.
boom, boom. Now, as a coach, how would you neutralize that?
Number one, you have to have players who are willing, the front players, I'm talking about the front players, the forwards, whether you play with 4-4-2, 3-5-2, whatever. The front players, you have to have them as fast as possible, and you have to have them willing to work, to put the press. Because where did that ball came from? Came from behind, right? So they try to look for diagonal balls to the wings, or they try to look at the balls and behind that. So you must have those players. If you don't have those players, maybe you play a little bit, low line, low block, and keep everything in front of you.
So what you're saying, don't give those players time to get off that ball.
Not at all. Not at all. You have to know your players. As a coach, you have to know your players. If your front players are not willing to put the work, which is fine, some of them are not willing, and that's what you have to work with, then change your system of play.
Do you normally change your system during a game? Try to change it during the game?
Yes, very often. The rule that I have is if it's not broken, don't change it.
Right.
So therefore, if I see my 3-5-2 system is working, then I'm gonna keep going with it. If it needs tweaking, changing to 4-3-3 to 3-4-3, then I have to look at what's the pros and cons before I change it. It's not just change right away.
Right.
What's the pros and cons? Do I need to change personnel? Do I need to change the formation? All that comes as a factor for my changes. Yeah.
Now, would you change it during the game itself?
Many times I've done it. Yes.
So that means that so your pre-game speech to your players, they know exactly what you're going to say to make sure they change those formations.
If you do it,
or you have a specific player that dictates what goes on the field.
If you do it pre-game, if you do the pre-game talk that you're gonna change this and this, then you're behind. You're late.
Okay.
Those changes happen in the practice.
Okay.
So in practice, there's scenarios where um, we changed from 3-5-2. I changed it to during practice because we always finish with 11v11. Whether it's a 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 15 minutes, we always finish with 11v11 at our training. So at that, I take advantage of trying to change formation within the practice. So therefore, when I come to the game, I will tell them, remember when we change it, this is how I wanted things to be done. And obviously, it's already done. So it's a habit that it's built during practice.
Okay, great. Now, we talk about your platform for that you have on. I think you have a platform on YouTube.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel where I started it a couple years ago, but it became very active and serious just the last couple of months. So parents are looking to do private trainings, right?
Right.
And parents also, nowadays, they look to do game analysis. They want to see how their kid, it's not a video clipping for colleges, no, it's a game analysis that they want to their kids to learn from off the field, like we talked about earlier.
Right.
It's since now every game pretty much is filmed, so parents are looking to for more for their kids as a homework, where you take a kid or two and then you do a meeting with them and you analyze their performance, why he did not cover this, why he played long ball, why this, who and where, all the 5 W's that we try to implement, we teach them. So I started doing that, plus a private training in the mornings for the homeschool kids. There's homeschool kids, so they train in the morning at 9 o'clock, and then they go and do their school during the day.
Tell our viewers where they can find that YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's at Ayat Soccer. So I'll give you the link eventually, Nigel, to put it up there. But it's at Ayat Soccer. It's the YouTube channel.
And that's Ayat
AYAT Soccer SOCCAR.
And I can speak for myself. I can speak for my son because he went through your academy, and thanks to you, he was able to get a full ride.
Oh, okay.
Those last 2 years that he spent with you, elevate his, not just his soccer talent, but his soccer knowledge and his maturity. You ask my son right now who is the best coach, he's going to say Coach Anis. And I say, who was the toughest coach? He's going to say Coach Anis. Once I heard him telling his players that the coach was being tough on them, and he's like, you guys don't know what tough is. But Coach, I tell you, it was a fantastic opportunity for me to have you here. It's a great pleasure, and I hope to see you another time.
Yes,
back in Visas, right?
It's very pleasure to talk to people.
And listen, you need to put the team back in Casa. Casa, they're watching.
Yeah, believe me, next season for sure. Can they get in? Can we get in now? It is too late.
Well, the administration is watching, so listen. If you need Plantation, you guys did well in the tournament.
In the youth
Classic.
tournament, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great tournament. It was a great look for a lot of players. I tell you.
Yeah.
Not just the overseas players, but the local players also.
Yeah, I got a couple few phone calls from my teams. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what Casa is all about.
It provides the platform for showcase, for sure. Sure.
Definitely. And I tell you, Coach, good luck.
Thank you very much.
And I'll see you on the field.
We'll be seeing you soon. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break. We're going to go out to some of our sponsors, and we'll be right back.